Is it snowing?
Not here. We had a little dusting, and it's mostly gone now.
I officially put away all of my Christmas decorations. They are
We're not
all
officially live.
tucked away. It should really give us an alert like streaming live from YouTube, like Zoom goes recording in progress and super obnoxious.
Well, that was live. We are live
You're
right here on Triple T
welcome.
for number 159. 159.
That's exciting.
Holy smokehouse, Batman. Thank you for tuning in. My name is TJ Zebel. I like to call myself a professional problem solver. And I always follow that up with, no, I don't know everything. In fact, I'm right along with the more you know, the more you realize there's more that you don't know. But I do have a unique way of helping people with finding answers to solutions and challenges by asking lots of questions and going on all of the things that I've done in my past. Sometimes I feel like I've lived about 8 lifetimes already. Right, Mom? Speaking of Mom, Mom is on YouTube out there in YouTube land. Hi, Mom. And all the rest of you YouTubers. For those in YouTube land, or if you're watching this recording, please do me all the YouTube favors and click the subscribe button, ring the bell, click the like button, please, and leave lots of comments. And I just got a text from Mike. He will not be able to join us tonight, so we're sending out good vibes to the man out in Cali. What else we got? We have a website that is ever evolving. So if you looked at it last week, it's different again. So check it out. See if you can find the Where's Waldo of changes. And the URL is theTSWB.com, thetallskinnywhiteboy.com. And I will defend the fact that I have been the tall, skinny white boy since way before the computers were ever thought of. So if you look it up on the internet and you find something else and there's some disgusting others, don't look them up. That's not me. I am the tall, skinny white boy. What else? I do offer a free, that's right, no charge to you, 30-minute consultation. That is your opportunity to get a hold of me, ask me lots of questions, and allow me to see if there's an opportunity for me to help you find the solutions you're looking for. If I believe that I can find those solutions for you quickly, I will let you know. If I'm not a fit, I will also let you know. That is my promise to you. And I will also help you find the right fit, the right person to get those solutions going so that you can get onto a much better life. Let's see, what else? In case you're wondering, what do I get to help people with? All sorts of things. You guys here on the call know the list of what I don't do is almost the same size as the list that I do that, and I just said do on the internet. Bada bing. I get to help people with all sorts of stuff: depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD. I have the privilege of offering corporate coaching. I get to work with athletes from beginner all the way up to pro level. A lot of relationship stuff going on. A lot of success stories in that arena. So if one of your New Year's resolutions is to stop being single, or if you know somebody who doesn't want to be single anymore, have them get a hold of me. See if we can get that fixed for them, find out what the challenge is. What am I missing? Oh, yes, the new ties still continue. Over a year ago now, what, a year and 2 episodes ago, 3 episodes ago, I decided that I was going to show off my tie collection by wearing a different tie every week. I still have ties to go. I don't know if I'm going to show them all to you because some of them are pretty boring, but I will show you this one. This one I got from a doctor friend of mine.
Very awesome.
Yeah. So, what else? Let's see. If you are new to Triple T, thank you for showing up. The way this works, the first hour, I do my best to get through 3. Oh, look at that. I forgot to type the topics into the chat. Well,
I got
you
it.
guys are also going to be surprised too.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I do my best to get through the 3 topics I come up with for the week. And then the second hour, yes, we go 2 hours. Second hour is open platform, open mic. Anybody on the call gets a chance to ask a question, bring up a topic. And I let the people on the call answer first because I like to learn as well. And if I feel that there's anything I can add after everybody else has given their answers, that's when I offer up my 2 centavos. Anybody got anything they want to share from the last 7 days while I type some information in here? Your mic is muted. Mark, you had your hand up.
Yeah, today was day 1 at the gym. So
Right on.
back to the gym. Gonna be going every day for a while, and took it very easy today, but I was there, so
Yep.
build on day 1 to get to day 2. So
Awesome.
I'm ready. This is the year. I'm gonna get in really great shape. So no steroids.
You got this, and you don't need steroids, but I'm very excited for you. One thing that I had done, Mark, I got stuck in a massive trap of doing the same thing again and again and again. And then I would try to deviate, but my brain was like, no, you have to do it this way. You have to do it this way. And it took me a bit of time to really break the habit. I did get, because I'm a journal person, a paper and pen person. Amazon has a fitness planner on there, and then you can actually fill stuff out. Big fan of it. Worth the $8.99. In case you wanted something to write on.
There we go. Anybody else got anything they want to share? Now that I finally caught up on my homework I should have had done before we got started, it's been a busy day. Deep breath. Little tea for the throat. Well, without further ado, let's get it rolling. Topics of the night: royalty in the tribe, a year of change, and loving the potential. So we'll get started right off. Royalty in the tribe. Anybody got, especially you triple tiers, anybody got any idea what royalty in the tribe might be?
I want to say people who are extra close, like you can build your tribe, and then there's a different level of tribe members, perhaps.
Great guess. Anybody else want to take a guess at it? All right. What it actually is, it's from the Triple P protocol. For dating, it's kind of a forget the whole swipe left, swipe right, dating apps, blah, blah, blah. And building a new tribe that would include your person. Because what better way to have a place to celebrate and have fun with your person than in a tribe that has similar interests? And this came actually through two of my clients today. And one of them, I had talked about getting out, getting into doing activities, making sure that this is, again, the busiest, craziest year that you've ever had, your last crazy year single. Getting on as many activities as possible so that you can meet as many people as possible. And they'd complained, well, there aren't any meetups, that I was really interested in. I said, perfect. Then start your own. And I didn't get a chance to check into it, but the last time I checked into it, if you were going to pay to set up a meetup, you were able to do 3 different ones. And that's actually how I met my wife. The gentleman who put them together, Bill, came up with cat lovers, international travelers, and tall singles. Guess which one caught my attention? Wasn't cat lovers.
Aw,
And
come
against
on.
cats, stop typing if you're out there and you're a crazy cat lady. She's not on yet, but she will be later. Anyhow, but the cool thing was Bill would put together locations for events and put the same time, same location for all 3. And so we would have cat lovers show up and international travelers show up and people who love tall people show up. And I say it that way because when he first started, it was just tall singles. Well, there was also a rival tall singles group. And I went to that one, but the energy and the vibe was not the same. And they were bagging on Bill because they found out that we had people of all heights. We had short people and tall people and medium height people. And so I told Bill, change the description. Tall singles is a place where anybody who likes being around tall people can show up, because there are tall people that are attracted to short people. There are short people that are attracted to tall people. If you want to come hang out with people who like being around tall people, this is where we'll be. And the advantage in building a tribe like that and finding royalty in the tribe, it's activities. It's not a date. The pressure's not there. You get to know people over time. And you get a chance to do all the things that I teach my clients about, the trifecta and ABT and journaling and doing your year planner and all the above. And so it's a really good place to get together, practice, meet people. Any questions, ahas, epiphanies on that so far?
I like the idea of it. I also think, it can be really good for people who are wanting to build a different network of friends.
I was just going there. You read my mind. It was right there.
Didn't even plan that one.
Yeah. Holly.
I've got kind of a question, just probably is too loud. So when you're going to these, if you ever get to the point where it's just feeling exhausting and overwhelming and like you've been doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, how can you what's the word, refresh it so that it's fun rather than exhausting, if that makes sense?
As an attendee or as the facilitator?
A combination of both.
Two different answers for as the attendee, find another group. As the facilitator, find out why it's dragging you down, what's going on, and potentially either let somebody else take the group over and take a break while you start looking for starting something else, or change the events, the layouts, and make it's your group. If you're the facilitator and it sucks, I might want to look in the mirror. Just saying. I know, hard truth, kind of mean, but it's your party. And you can cry if you want to. A few people out there got that. But other than that, if you're putting together a group like that and it's not doing it for you, next, Lenora.
So I don't know if you would say I'd consider an introvert extrovert. I am not somebody who likes groups. I do not like big parties. No. I'm much more of a one-on-one person. I'm much more of a sit around the table kind of person, have really satisfying conversations. So what I have noticed is if you were like, oh, hey, let's go out for a drink, I'd be like, have a good time. It doesn't resonate with me. Unless it's gonna be one-on-one, it just doesn't resonate with me. That being said, thanks to the wonderful worldwide of COVID, I have met all of you people without actually meeting any of you in person. And the only time I met TJ so far was last July. I've met none of you, and yet you were all so much a part of my life to the point that I will make meetings and I will make times to Zoom with you completely outside of the other things that we do because I like that. So, or I like that person, or I like spending time with that person, or I'm thinking, that was really interesting. What else might there be? And it might not blossom into, especially as I started to get into other networking groups. Some people I get in a group and it's like, oh, we had a nice conversation. Keep in touch. Let's see if we can help each other. And other people, I realize, wow, this person is completely different and I really want to spend more time with them. And that's usually where I go. So if I notice after the first meeting, oh, I like spending time with them. Second time I spend with them. Third time, fourth time, now I'm going, oh, okay, something's really interesting here. And I will quite literally just continue to build that space and that friendship with them. So if it's not necessarily the entire group that I like, then it is people from those groups. And then sometimes they'll introduce me to somebody else, but I can usually say, in high school, I had a close group of girls. In college, I had 3 or 4 close people. And now I don't have, other than you guys, I don't have groups. I have friends, but I don't have groups. And you guys are what I consider the Triple T tribe. And that's how I spend time with you is through this. But it's not multiple people when I step out of that. That's just my perspective and how I tend to navigate the world.
Yeah, after after the scamdemic hit, a lot of stuff changed. One of the things that I was discussing with one of my clients today, in fact, was there's a generation that is having challenges functioning out in public and dealing with people because all they've had is that screen. That was the buffer. And they've gotten so comfortable with that buffer and texting and all that stuff. And it's not just an age group. It's a group of people that for whatever reason, whether it's phobias or anchors or whatever, now trying to function out in public and have live conversations, they've lost some of the social cues, the social etiquette, how to hold a live conversation one-on-one, how to be able to look people in the eye while you're talking to them, being able to understand what is not safe space is not personal space. Some of them are still to the point where their personal space is like a 10-foot ring around them, sadly. And so again, with the new year, it's a good time, whether you're married or single, all the above, think about building another tribe. And you can start thinking about, what would I like to do? Who would I like to hang out with? Start looking at meetups. If you don't have any meetups in your area, start one yourself. If for no other reason, then it will motivate you to get out and do the activity. But what I found with the meetups that I showed up at and the above, if it's in a public place and part of the thing that you put on the notice is, we will be at this place from this time to this time, look for the yellow balloon in the sign. And if you have one balloon, not a big collection of balloons, and a sign that says meetup with the name of the group underneath it, you'll also attract people who are at the same place. Hey, what's this group all about? I joked with one of my clients. I said, I know you like beer. If you're new to the area and you have a hard time meeting people and you're lonely, go to a bar with one balloon with a sign that says meetup beer lovers group, and put it on a big ass table and sit there with a beer in front of you. It won't be long before there will be a number of people at your table out of curiosity and because they're in the same position as you. They just want someone to talk to. It's that easy. I've witnessed it many times. So those that know me, who have been out in public with me, know that to me, strangers are just friends I haven't met yet. I can strike up a conversation with anybody. Lenora.
There's one thing online that I absolutely love, and it says, you have yet to meet all the people that will love you in your life. And isn't that such a nice thought? That's so beautiful.
Would you say that one more time so the people that just went, wow, how'd that go?
You have yet to meet all the people that will love you in your life.
Yeah. Why rob them of the privilege? Get out there and meet them. That's why I love travel. It's a great way to meet amazing people. And some people, you spend, what, Lenora? 10 minutes, 20 minutes when you're out traveling and you meet somebody, or an hour, and
You're like, what happened to them if you don't get their information?
yeah, but
I know.
you think about, yeah, that trip to blah, 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 and we met that cool couple out on the da 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 when we were doing this, and the conversation we had was amazing. It's much easier to do out there than it is to do going from home to work, work to home, home to work, work to home. Again, new year, new chance. We've already burned up 14 of the pages. 351 left. What are you going to make of it? What kind of story are you going to write? Who are you going to put into it? Build a new tribe. Put some royalty in there. Some new besties. Any other comments, epiphanies, ahas on that one? Wow, we might actually get through all three of these tonight. Then we'll move on. And this one, I don't know how much more I could add. A year of change. And one of the things that I decided for myself for year of change, I've had people accuse me of being a collector.
Notice the difference between a collector and a hoarder.
Collectors have cool stuff.
Very different.
Yes. Collectors have really cool stuff, and hoarders have stuff and garbage and stuff. Well, I'm a collector. We were chit-chatting before the meeting started, and the question was brought up, wonder how many microphones TJ has, like in his office alone. What was the answer?
I believe the initial first stop was just stopping at 12, and that wasn't accounting for the other ones that might or might not be in a closet. It was just in the visual field.
The joys of being an audio tech for so many years, you get, and then you find I am very lucky at finding bargains and deals. Ask anybody that knows me. I find amazing deals, and some of them I sell. That's why I have like 12 microphones in here right now. But I've decided that this year I'm going to share the wealth, share the blessings, and I'm going to be purging an awful lot of my stuff as part of my year of change. And I know a number of people who have decided that this is the year of health. We're going to hit the gym, we're going to change our diet, we're going to do different things, which is year of change. One of the things that my wife and I have decided is we are going to start making more and more and more of our own food. Sunday, she took one of my projects away from me. Just kidding. And made homemade butter. It is so easy. What? Like what? I'm serious. I'm serious. If you are still buying butter and you have a mixer, just saying. If you have ever seen anybody make whipped cream, that is on the way to being butter. If you stop at whipped cream, you have whipped cream. If you keep going, you get butter and buttermilk. That's it. And then you can decide what kind of butter you want. You can season it up, add a little salt to it if you like salted butter. If you like cooking steaks, sorry for all the vegans or whatever, but if you like cooking steak, you can make your own seasoned butter pats for when that steak's about done. And you got butter with thyme and rosemary and yeah, pop that baby on there. Bada bing, bada bing. Our neighbor across the street gave us 3 little samples. They've been experimenting with flavored butter, and they did a maple syrup infused butter. They did a cinnamon butter and a vanilla almond butter. And when I did the math, it was half the cost of butter. Now, I'm not talking margarine, I'm talking like real honest to goodness butter. And so in Year of Change, we're going to do that. I've also decided that I'm going to start making my own homemade bacon. Bacon. My wife is making homemade bread. Oh, with the homemade butter, out of a half gallon of heavy cream, we made almost 2 pounds of butter and still had half of jug of buttermilk, which she then made homemade sandwich bread out of. Yeah. Now I'm getting hungry. I say all that not to impress you, but to impress upon you. A lot of us have forgotten how easy it is to make our own good food, to know what's in it. My wife's been making sourdough bread now for quite a while. Yeah, there's a learning curve to it. Yeah, guess what? It doesn't last quite as long as the bread with all the preservatives, junk, and things that you can't pronounce in it. Yeah. But it is tasty. Any comments, inputs on that, Lenora?
I love the idea of cooking and doing stuff for yourself. One thing that I would encourage people to notice, if you are thinking, "Ugh, it's such a pain in the ass to do that," it might help to start shifting your thinking about that, especially because when we get in a very busy cycle of work, rush here, rush there, do this, repeat, go to sleep, and go as fast as you can. When we start to see things and view things as a pain in the butt or it's so overwhelming, it's something to really consider, because making your own food and spending time with that, especially because food is such an important part of our life and how we truly can connect with it. The reason I think it's so important is because when you can connect with preparing your meal or making your own food or taking the time to create something beautiful for yourself and something nutritious for yourself, you will start to value it differently and value your time differently and value your body differently. It's so much more than just making your own butter. It's so much more than just making bread really quickly. You start to really see the beauty and the science and the creativity in it. So if you're thinking it's a pain in the butt, start to take a look at other places in your life where you're going, oh, it's such a pain in the butt, because other things might be stealing away from something that can really possibly bring you joy. That could possibly be really something that can be so creative and expansive for you. So those were just my thoughts on that one.
Thank you. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. And it looks like we may have a meal prepper listening
I
in
see
right
Mike,
now.
yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, man. Mike's up. Your mic's up. There we go.
Yeah, so packaged chicken breasts, went ahead and just seared those off. Two different ways. One was the seasoned butter and then a wine, and then the other is lemon and capers, and then slice that up slow, kind of small. And then roasted vegetables, which is mushrooms, corn, Brussels sprouts, peppers, carrots, potatoes, Hasselback potatoes that are kind of like that.
So we're coming over for dinner. We'll be there in about 20.
Perfect. But the thing is, when you're doing this, you got to make sure that, like the cauliflower, you season that, throw that in first. And then after that, it's broccoli and carrots and all that other stuff. And then you throw that in. And then, kind of go, depending on how long it has to cook, just give it that time ahead of time, and it all comes out about the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And sesame oil is what I'm using as my oil on this.
Right on.
These vegetables. Good taste, healthy, a little bit of salt. So
Awesome, man. Super proud of you. When I was when I had my company taking care of rental properties and I was in my van all day, I used to meal prep on Sunday. I would make what I called one pot. And I had these big wok pans. And I tell you what, honestly, most of the time when I started, I didn't really know what I was going to end up with. But I would throw in some diced up chicken and some rice or pasta, some beans, some tomatoes, some veggies, build a broth, have it fresh one night, and then I had my collection of very high-end culinary, what would you call it, units. They all said either sour cream or, but they were my traveling dishes, and I would spice it up so that I could enjoy it cold. You learn to adapt, but it was good. And when I added up the price to make 5 days worth, it was, I ate all week for the price of going out once, maybe twice, if all I had was a standard burrito. and much healthier and much more filling. So in the year of change, if you're thinking that there's something you want to do and it seems overwhelming or too challenging, or you don't know how to get started, or you've tried it before and you failed, and you tried and you failed, contact one of us so we can dig down and figure out what is the underlying anchor that is holding you back. Lenora.
I wanted to put this out there for anybody who's experiencing it or who has experienced it. For me, I think shame is one of the most hurtful things. And if you've tried to do something, and let's say you tried weight loss and you tried it a number of times in your life, and people have made comments to you along the lines of not niceness, or, well, you're not going to get any further, or it's only a matter of time. Be careful. If this is something you want for yourself and you want to experience other things, be careful with who you share your thoughts with. Be careful who you share your desires with. And also, if you have shared with people in the past and they have made fun of you for it, or they have laughed at you about it, that does not mean every single person is going to laugh at you for it. It does not mean every single person will not take you seriously. And it simply means that those people were not in the space of being able to really understand you, really hear you, really see you. So if you're wanting these things for yourself, allow yourself to lean into it. And if you lean into it and you don't feel like it's comfortable, to say it out loud or say it to yourself in a mirror, write it in a journal.
Yes.
Put it out there, as in acknowledging that this is something that you want for yourself, and you don't have to tell anybody. You're welcome to share it with us. We will happily celebrate you in every way, shape, and form. Mark shared his awesome news today, and we're so excited for him in what he wants to accomplish. If you're wanting to accomplish something, if you're wanting to do something, whatever it is, even if it's make your own butter and you might have burned boiling water, still allow yourself to explore it. Allow yourself to lean in.
Great answer. Thank you for sharing that. And my squirrels, for those of you that don't know, I have squirrels who bring around squirrels. And that's just a way of, oh my gosh, while she was saying something, you'll see me oftentimes quick grab a pen so I can write down so the squirrel doesn't run away with the thought. And the thought that the squirrel delivered, when it comes to stuff like this, you can get bitter or you can get better. If somebody said something to you in the past and it hurt, that was then. You're not the same person. Find another tribe. You don't have to let everybody know. There will be people, in fact, one of the metaphors that I often say is, if you are to tell somebody that out of the blue you want to run a marathon, unfortunately, a lot of the time, the people that will throw the most sticks at your feet while you're trying to run the marathon will be friends and family. And the people that you don't even know, have never met, will cheer you on the loudest. So if you're trying to get something done, search for that tribe that will support you. The other thing that came up is what's the best revenge? To do it quietly and have them see the results before they had a chance to tell you again that you can't do it. Lenora.
I want to share something with you guys. So some of you might know that I did a second TEDx a couple weeks ago, and I had wanted to do it in my head, and I was arguing with myself in my head, telling myself that I was crazy. And no, 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 no. And quite literally somewhere between talking myself into it and somewhere between talking myself out of it. And I had shared it with someone very specifically. I had shared it with TJ, and he goes, "That's crazy awesome," or something along those lines, because I kept saying I was crazy. So he fed off of that. And it was during one of our coaching sessions, and it was really helpful. And when the opportunity then presented itself, I told very few people. And the first person I told, their response was not that it was crazy awesome. They're like, "That's stupid. Why would you do that again? That you were miserable during that entire thing." And in preparing for a very big speech the first time, I did go through some emotional upheavals. And it was a little stressful, and there was a whole lot of sweating. And the person that had shared the second time, like, "No, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that?" Their response wasn't supportive. Their response wasn't encouraging. And their response was, for lack of a better way of saying it, quite literally trying to talk me out of saying yes to it. And when I had mentioned it to TJ and I had said, "I have a week to prepare," he goes, "That's awesome. I'm so excited for you." And that's the difference in being able to have a tribe and also knowing who to talk to. The people that I shared with it initially, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they don't love me. It doesn't mean that they didn't have my best interest at heart. It simply meant they couldn't perceive it. They have a different memory of that experience. They couldn't perceive going through that again and going through it in that amount of time. For lack of a better term, possibly throwing sticks on the path. When you share it with other people, like you lovely people in the tribe, in the Triple T tribe, nothing but celebration, nothing but "you got this," nothing but "if you need anything, I'm here." There is a difference in who you talk to. And there's such a beautiful meme. And it says, "Be careful who you vent to. Not all vents lead to the same room." Which again basically says, be careful who you talk to, because some people aren't necessarily in the emotional ability and the emotional state to meet you and support you. And that's okay. They're not bad people. It's simply that they're in a different state than you are. So know and really practice who you can go to. Always be testing. Always be testing. Really, 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 I encourage people to do that, because it's a difference that will make a massive difference in your life.
Thank you for sharing that. And I've found it can be something super small, and it can be a huge life-changing event. And you'll have the same people that will either support you or try and destroy your dreams. And like Lenora wisely said, it doesn't mean they're bad people. In fact, a lot of times the friends and family that will try and talk you out of it are doing it because they want to protect you. They don't want you to change. They don't want to risk you becoming somebody they don't know. Just like your subconscious is out there to protect you. And it will do it in some ways that are not very supportive. And understanding that gives you a little more power over it. We did a talk a while back called Protective Empathy. When you understand people better and you have more empathy for how people act and why they do certain things, it will help protect you because you understand it's not about you. You can look at them and go, wow, there's a story there somewhere. Or, wow, somebody must have hurt you in the past. Or, wow, you must have tried this and failed miserably, and now you're trying to protect me from doing it. So there are ways that we can help you deal and channel with these challenges. Lenora.
Okay, so I was going to share this for hour two, but it's just going to piggyback right in there so we can come back to it. What I didn't understand, and I'm hopeful that the people who aren't on camera can hear me because this was massive for me. When you hear TJ say, oh, there must be a story there, and he's curious about it, the massive aha that I came to was when you can hold safety and when you can hold space for yourself, for your vulnerability, for your person in there that might be having a meltdown, when you can have the emotional state control or even bring in another version of you and see that person and sit with them, especially when you sit with them in the shit sometimes, like, I see you. It's okay. When you can have this conversation with that vulnerable part, this is where your personal work, your meditation, your conversations in your head are going to explode into the best possible conversations you will ever have. So grab a pen and paper. The same amount of safety, the same amount of space that you hold for your clients or that you hold for a dear friend that's sharing something with you, that you're simply wanting to help. You're not trying to fix them. They're not broken. You're just wanting to help as in, I'm here, I'm listening. Tell me, what can I do? And just wait. These pieces, these parts of ourselves, these vulnerable parts that feel so raw, where they start talking and before you know it, you're in tears. We're talking to ourselves all the time. The difference is when you can integrate yourself into the certainty, into the calmer, knowing part of you, into your truth or into your higher self, into this space that says, it's okay. I see you. The same way TJ does it for his clients, the same way we do it for our clients. When you do this for your insides that might be having a meltdown or thinking that they're not worthy or thinking that they can't do it, and you have this conversation that says, tell me a little bit about that, and go back and forth in that conversation, holy bananas. Massive, massive, massive shifts. Huge.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, that's why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before I try and squeeze one more time?
You were so close.
Sometimes it feels like I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a half hour left. And then all of a sudden, and I've got 6 minutes left. Well, we should be able to sneak this one in pretty quick. The last topic for the night is loving the potential. And again, from one of my clients in Triple P with the dating, but we do this a lot with friends and all the above. Relationships are relationships. And it's like last week we talked about Paint It Pink. And that was surrounding if somebody shows you a red flag, you're like, oh, but I have this wonderful bouquet of green flags, so I'm just going to paint that one pink. This is looking at the other part of the equation and falling in love with the potential they could have in your mind. It's like looking at projects. Oh, that old car over there, I don't want to get rid of it because if I could fix it up, it would be an amazing car. Oh, that guitar that I've had for the last 10 years, I don't want to get rid of it because I could learn how to play it really, really well. And you fall in love with the potential of what these things mean to you without fully embracing the reality, I guess I'm going to call it. And it's a slippery slope to ride on. There are times where, yes, you have to be in love with the potential, especially of certain projects. But especially in the triple P protocol for dating and relationships, probably not as helpful, especially in the beginning. When I'm working with my triple P clients, the reason I have them take a year off from a committed relationship is to help with that buffer of falling in love with the potential. In fact, the first talk of the night, royalty in the tribe, the reason I brought up that scenario of building a tribe that your person would be interested in being a part of, it's a safer way to meet somebody to avoid falling in love with the potential. Does that make sense? Any questions, ahas, epiphanies on that so far?
Falling in love with the potential of them or the potential of being with them?
All the above.
Okay.
And again, it can be so many different things. I'm guilty. I've got a few projects on the property that, I'm like, yeah, it could be such a nice machine. I'm in love with the potential. I see what it could be. But I also know what a pain in the butt it is going to be to get it to that level. One of my triple P clients has 2 people that they're interested in. But when we boiled it down, they like the potential of this person and the potential of this person, but neither one of them, you can't take the 2 and merge them. On their own, the 2 that they're interested in don't have enough to make it worth the investment. And so I've got my client studying what is it about this person, like and not like. What is it about this person, like and not like? And now work that all together. What kind of a tribe would that merge person be a part of? And what can I change to make sure that I'm a better fit for that ultimate person? So that when they see me, they see the potential with a very short way to go instead of Yes, I found this amazing project. We're at level 1 and we got 100 steps to go. It's better to find them at step 98 or 99. Any comments, ahas, epiphanies on that?
Very interesting.
Cool. Well, that brings us to the top of the first hour, which means it is time to switch gears. Any of you that joined in the middle or you fast forwarded for whatever reason on the recording, hour number 2 is open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can ask questions, bring up topics, and I allow the people on the call to answer first so that I can learn. And just so you know, sometimes we start off with a little silence while I wait for people to bring up a topic or a question. So here we go. Who's got a topic or a question for hour number 2? Okay, come on. Holly.
We all put our hands up at the same time. That's so funny. I was just going to ask, I may have asked something similar to this before, but when it comes to relationships, there's different kinds. And I'm just kind of curious for each of you, how do you define a networking relationship? And what are your approaches to it? What do you see as being kind of the rules for that relationship? Like, how does that fit into your life and your tribe?
Oh, good question. Who's got an answer for that one? Lenora.
So, Holly, I used to, and you probably remember this given how many years you've known me. I used to hate the idea of networking and I didn't understand it. And one of the first times, so I started in Chamber of Commerce, but that really was just it wasn't like true networking. And I think by the time that I got to Chamber, I had gone to my first BNI meeting, and BNI stands for Businessing Network International, I think. And in there, this was in my local community, and I had to give a 60-second speech. And I know for sure you were there that night, Holly, and you saw me like have a meltdown the night before for 60 seconds, which was hysterical to me now. Not then. Then it was a full meltdown. Helping people understand what I do, getting a picture of being able to share what I do, and also being able to understand what somebody else does and who they're looking for. Do I know somebody? And even in networking, one person had said, I'll come back to it if I need to. One of the things that they would say is, how can I help you? What are you looking for? And oh my God, this question used to send me sailing, because I thought, how selfish of me to ask somebody and tell somebody what I'm looking for and to use them. And what I've come to see and learn is people like to do business with people. Not everybody is going to be your client, but you can absolutely share what you do with other people, because they might know people who can help you, and they might know people, you might know people that can then help them. And I like to see it as having really good people skills of saying, what can I do? How can I help? I'll keep my ears open. If I hear something, I will absolutely send it your way. But I do my best to get to know them. And it's not like I used to think we'd have to be best friends and like go to the movies and have coffee. And it's not like that at all. And the more meetings I've had, this didn't just shift in one meeting. This literally took about 2 years of building to really notice, oh, this is what we're going in with a mission. We're going in with the eye on the prize of we're going to have a conversation. We're going to be able to get an idea of what the other one's looking for. If we know anybody, great. Not every single person will yield them something, and not every single person will yield something for me. But my 3 magic questions, my building rapport, my connection with people has absolutely helped me be much more engaging in those short interactions and also be more effective in helping people, because then I started to turn to people and say, hey, I know somebody, do you this might be a fit for you. And in that, I became, in my eyes, more helpful and more valuable because I was doing what I could to help other people. That's how I very specifically see networking, which is totally different than spending time with you guys.
The answer.
I hands got thought you were patting yourself on the back, TJ.
No. Itchy scratchy. Way to go. Anybody else got an answer for that?
Mike has a great question in the chat.
Yes. Mike wants to know, what are the 3 questions? Who can answer that for Mike? Because we're in the second hour, so go ahead, knock it out. You guys know this stuff. No, this is second hour. I answer last. What are the 3 questions? All right.
Passion and profession, happy childhood memories also. And other one is what's important to you about such and such. So they're really, Holly Mignosi had such great ones too. Oh, I have to go back through the archives, and she called them like the 3 S's or the 3 P's. Something about personal and what are you passionate about, and a pleasant memory or something like that. That's what she would call them. But the magic questions, Mike, are ways to build very fast and effective rapport when paired with echo technique or engaging conversation and questioning.
Yes, exactly, Mike. 3 magic questions. That's what it was. Did that answer your one question? Yeah, he says, okay. Anybody else got any? Who's got another question or topic?
Holly, was that helpful to you?
Can see if I could get myself unmuted here. Yes, that was extremely helpful.
Okay.
I'm guessing for the 3 P's. Sorry, what was that third one? It was. I know that's the other question, but I'm sure it's place because the first one's location, occasion. So I'm betting it was place, passion, and then remind me what the childhood experience was.
I think hers was pleasant past memory.
Pleasant past memory. Got it. Past memory. Okay. I got to remember that. That's a good way to remember them.
Yeah, she had a cute combination.
Okay, Mark, you had your hand up with a question or a topic.
Yeah, I had a question. I have usually I tell people I never see people as they are, and this feeds into the last topic about loving the potential. I never see a new client walking in the door as they are. I always see them as I can imagine that they become. So in that way, when I saw the topic for tonight, my morals went in that direction, stampeded. That because I do love the potential that people have. I just wanted to know as a question that when a new client comes into your environment, do you see things the same way? Do you see them as they are, or see them with the potential of who they can become.
I'm glad you asked that, and I should have addressed that when I was talking about it. I'm going to grab this one real quick. You have to be able to see the potential. You have to, even with pretty much any project, it's hard to know what direction to go without seeing the potential. It's hard to have passion to do the work if you can't see some of the potential on any project. Whether it's shining an old penny or building a house or building a suburb, working with clients. Yeah, we need to be able to see the potential, and it's also a way to gauge our progress. If you don't have any future vision of the potential of what you're doing, are you on track? Are you on schedule? Are you in the right direction even? And sometimes that changes because as you're working your way through the project, life happens. And maybe what you saw as the potential changes. And so you have to redirect. I'm glad you brought that up so I could clarify that. Any other questions or comments on that clarification?
And I see people as better than they are when they walk in my office. And they, and if I'm, on my game, and helping them in the way they need to be helped, got to move in that direction. So they start to realize their own potential.
Absolutely.
I just want to know if everybody else had that same moment.
Let's see what Holly has to say.
Okay.
So I've got a couple thoughts. For me, it's kind of a mixture of the two. And because what it is obviously if somebody's asking for my help, I'm going to have to see potential to have any kind of bearing, kind of like, TJ was saying, and to know where to go and to believe in them. And, if I can see their potential, it might help them. But on the flip side, I sometimes have discovered people who work in this kind of world, helping people reach their potential, sometimes make two mistakes. One is we take that attitude towards everybody we ever meet. And sometimes whether we mean it or not, we communicate this idea of you're only worthy if you meet your potential. One day you're going to be good enough. You're not there yet. You haven't met your potential yet. You're not good enough today, but maybe sometime in the future, I see this amazing potential for you. And so I'm trying to do a better job. And this has been kind of one of my focuses lately of saying, you know what? I see potential in you. There's awesome potential. This is not me discouraging you, but you are good enough today. Your worth as a human being is not contingent on you meeting your perfect potential. And then the other thing that I've noticed, I make this mistake a lot, is I get so caught up in the potential that I see that I don't see the potential that they see. And I want to prioritize the potential that I see, and they may want to prioritize the potential they see. So I might look at somebody and say, you could do so much better in your job, for example. And they're coming to me saying, I want to be a better father. Neither one of those are bad, but you've got to have priorities when you're pursuing potential. So see how many P's I could get in there. So I think it's definitely a balance, like especially if people are asking for it and want to know about it and saying, hey, what's your position? Because it can be very helpful too when you're pursuing your own potential to have people outside tell you what they see, because those could be blind spots. So, there's nothing wrong with seeing it. There's nothing wrong with communicating it, as long as you're not getting to the point that you're using it to judge the other person or make them feel like they're not enough, or that they have to prioritize your priorities over their priorities.
Great answer. And you're right, there are, I've been guilty a number of times of seeing the potential in somebody and wanting it far more than they did. They're happy in the comfort zone. And I'm like, why? But I also have to remember there are people that will go to the buffet every day and have a cheese sandwich. And that's nothing wrong with a cheese sandwich. I like a good cheese sandwich. But I'm like, yeah, but what about, I mean, the dessert aisle over there? Oh, no, cheese sandwich. Well, what about the seafood aisle? Nope, just want a cheese sandwich. But you could have so much more. I can have so much more. But all they want is the cheese sandwich. And if they ever change their mind, I'll let them know that I'm there to help them find and advise them on, well, you might like this, you might want to try that. I would probably not try this right away. It's an acquired taste. So, anybody else got anything to share on that? Or if not, do we have another question or a topic? Lenora.
I like the idea of seeing their potential. I sometimes worry that I can be so overly optimistic and I can push too hard, and people might not want to be pushed in that way. So I think I have to be a little more careful with that.
Yeah, and it can get depressing. I ain't gonna lie. I've had that happen a couple of times where I see so much potential, and even if they see it, they don't want it. They don't want to put the work in. Well, if you want it so bad, then you go do it yourself. Okay, what are you gonna do? Live the best life you can to your potential. Excuse me, long day. Okay, who's got another topic or question? Come on, I know some of you have books full of questions and ideas and topics, so.
I liked the one idea, the difference between healthy self-care and selfishness. And I found this is something that I found very interesting, and I'd love to know people's thoughts, especially because the word selfish got thrown around very easily and very early in my life. And before I knew it, for years on end, had labeled so many things as selfish and so many things as I shouldn't want that because it's selfish. And the reason I love language so much is because when we start to change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Gosh, Wayne Dyer, such a good person. When we can change our labels, and even when it goes back to what I was sharing earlier about when we're in those spaces where we know we're having those conversations with a higher self or a much more certain being that is still a part of us. And when that version can have conversations with those pieces, for example, that younger version that was screaming that everything was selfish, massive insights, huge insights. And even if I'm a very big, so especially when it comes to self-talk, when you're having, and this could be true for your clients or you're having conversations, when you're having this back and forth, I'm very big into get a visual. Who are they? What age are they? How are they standing? Who, literally, and I love that Jesus even said this in the Bible, be as little children, as in pretend, get it out in front of you, have the conversation. And even if you start writing, it can really help open up that conversation to have this back and forth and to look at things that you're labeling as selfish. And then you'll get to see, well, if somebody else does that, are they selfish? And a lot of the time, no, they're not selfish. But if I'm doing it, then, oh, it must be selfish. Whoa, 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 that doesn't make any sense. Let's go back to the drawing board here because this doesn't make sense. And in that very hurt version that I was experiencing, I even separated it out further. Okay, well, show me what this selfishness looks like. Now you have the certainty or the higher self talking to the younger self. Now you have the younger self saying, this is what I'm looking at and putting it out. And as you do, you keep getting this separation of intensity so that you can get a better look at it. You can get this perspective of it. When I tell you this has changed my life, as this deepening and this understanding has gotten deeper and deeper and deeper, I'm telling you, this has changed my life. This is phenomenal, phenomenal. The most precious, spectacular gift I could ever share with you all. What are your thoughts on selfishness versus healthy self-care? Close that loop.
Yeah, Holly.
Oh gosh, so many thoughts. I absolutely love that. A few thoughts that were kind of running through my mind while you were talking about selfishness is, and first of all, keep in mind when people are passing this on to us, as we were discussing earlier, they may not even understand it. They're just teaching. They may have good intentions for us. They're trying to socialize us. This is how they were socialized. Who knows how many generations it may go back. So just because somebody says something different doesn't mean they're right. But one of the thoughts that kind of came into my mind also is, now I think a lot about this. So for those of you who've ever read Chase Hughes's book, The 6-Minute X-Ray, or done any of his trainings or anything, he talks about
in his work.
He talks about human needs, and I highly recommend if you want to go deep dive on it, go there. I won't do a deep dive here.
You're totally welcome to. We love when Holly brings all her amazing insights.
So, but some of the needs, so like for instance, there's a need for intelligence. And I got talking with people, and that's just one of many, but it's an example I'll use. And we kind of started diving into it, and I realized there's two different needs, and they're competing needs. There's a need to be intelligent, and there's a need to be seen as intelligent.
Nice.
And we've talked about before, growth mindset versus limited mindset. Mm-hmm. Limited mindset is a need to be seen as intelligent. Growth mindset is a need to be intelligent, and they directly contradict each other, because if you have to be seen as intelligent, you won't take the risks, you won't do the things that make you look stupid, and you won't learn, and eventually you'll be left behind. So anyway, one of the thoughts that came into my mind too is, I think a lot of us have been socialized to worry about being seen as selfish versus being selfish. And one of the thoughts that popped in my head, this is, the stereotypical example, but imagine you're on a plane and the oxygen goes away and the oxygen masks fall, and you're traveling with a young child. It may appear to be selfish for you to put the mask on you first, but in reality, the most selfish thing you could ever do is put the mask on the young child first because you want to look like a good person. So, it's kind of
changes perspective.
So I had several, kind of like a flow chart of what is true selfish, because another thing I talk a lot about, this kind of goes more when I'm doing like the Kuji, but you've got the true and you've got the false, I call them energies for a lot of these things. So for example, you've got true power and you've got false power. And a lot of times they'll talk, speak softly and carry a big stick versus, I'm going to be the little yappy dog, or I'm going to be the dog that's calm and, whatever, because I know I have the power. But I was thinking, there's true selfishness and false selfishness as well. And so I was thinking, first of all, is me getting this thing that's good for me? Because a lot of times selfishness, when we're socialized, it's just you getting anything you want, or you getting, anything positive, you accepting anything. And of course, sorry, so many thoughts, like I said. But
In
so
love. Keep going.
some people have probably heard me say this a million times, but the idea of oh gosh, my brain just it's in Kabbalah, but it talks about the feast. What's it called? Unearned bread or something. That's not the word. I can't think what it's called. But if you're invited to a feast and you didn't pay anything, but this person's been slaving over this feast because they want to make you happy.
Yes.
And you come in and you say, I don't deserve this. It would be selfish for me to take advantage of it. That is not the selfish act. That's not taking, enjoying the food. That's the best gift you can give them. You show them how much it means to you. Refusing to partake is the most selfish thing you could possibly do in that scenario. So then I was just thinking, there's places where you getting what you want actually helps somebody else get what they want. And that could be as simple as somebody watching you that cares about you when you're in pain, letting them help you. It may feel so, mean to let them help you and I'm taking your time and whatever. But the more selfish thing is to make them sit on the sidelines and watch you suffer when they love to help you because they care so much about you. So that's one example. Another example I've talked about is, I've talked about, bread keeps coming up, this analogy that I came up with of, assume a bunch of people are at a camp and they have access to a kitchen and whatever, and there's one loaf of bread everybody's supposed to share. And then some of the camp members go up and they bake more bread, but they take, half of what they make and they keep for themselves and they donate the rest to everybody else who didn't help. Is the fact that they took some of the value that they created selfish? Or is the fact that they bothered to create more value and even shared some of that with people who didn't even contribute generous rather than selfish? There's two different ways to look at that. So, am I just taking some of the value I created and still donating more? Is that selfish? Or is saying, I'm not going to create the value because I don't want to take any of the value? We've talked about before too, that sometimes I need that value to provide value. The universe is giving me the tools I need to do what I need to do. And if I don't take those tools, I can't do what I'm supposed to do. And so how selfish is that? So I think there's several different, so those are the levels of, and then there's also cases I think where you taking what you want doesn't hurt anybody else. Nobody's hurt at all. How is that selfish? Maybe that's just the universe saying, hey, you deserve a break. You deserve a vacation. You've worn out. Here's a beautiful thing that you can have. And then I think there are some other areas where, okay, now we're getting into that area of I'm in a relationship with somebody and our needs actually conflict. And I had this discussion with somebody once. It went very interestingly, but it's kind of the idea of, I think there's like a need-want kind of spectrum, and there might be several different dimensions on this and everything. But the idea is your needs trump my wants, my needs trump your wants. When our needs conflict, so an example would be, hey, maybe my best friend needs to be driven to the ER. That's a need. And maybe I wanted to spend the day flying my kite. That's a want. Well, of course, driving them to the ER is immediately going to jump to the top. That makes sense. And if I'm driving to the ER, I guarantee my friend's going to want to drive me to the ER and just not do the kite flying. There's some cases where it's really obvious. And there's, immediate needs and there's more long-term needs in all this area. But I think in a give and take relationship, if we want to feel like everybody wants to feel like they're in a healthy relationship, they want to feel like it's a balanced relationship. And so when it comes to your need versus my need, that should be negotiated. I shouldn't always be getting my way, but I shouldn't never be getting my way. So, it's kind of like the selfish thing is if I'm going to put my wants ahead of your needs, or, like you've got this really impressive need and I'm going to put, or selfish is also every time it's a negotiation, I always win. That's selfish. But there's so many levels of I get what I want and what I need that don't ever get there, that most people, the selfish thing they're doing is not taking what's given to them. That's the most common selfish thing for people, for the, shall we say, good people. I know there's a handful of people the other way around, but anyway, just me rambling, but hopefully
You
that
had
helped.
so many phenomenal insights that I'm so glad it's recorded.
Yes. Great
Thank you.
answer. Mark.
Yeah, that Wayne Dyer quote, I use that on my website. And if you look me up on psychologytoday.org, that's how I start my intro. I don't start with my CV. I start with, when you change the way you look at something, everything you look at changes. Is close enough to what Wayne said about, fracturing copyright law. But another thought that about the language. I love the language too. There's selfish, but then there's an appropriate amount of self-love. But you move all the way into another realm where everything you do is selfless. And sometimes you end up say a family. The mom is doing everything. You look at the family portrait, in the portrait because she's the frame holding everything together. So everything she does is selfless, But I think you need a certain amount of self-love to, function, optimally. And but children are naturally selfish. They're egocentric. The whole universe revolves around them. Then as we mature, hopefully we move away from that healthy amount of, I think, self-love without becoming too involved, without becoming too selfless that kind of lose yourself. My thoughts. That was a shameless self plug for psychologytoday.org.
You're allowed to do that here. Great answers. Holy cow. And another great face joined us. So good to see you, Elijah. Been missing you, brother.
New Year.
Very cool. Wow. Anything else to add to that, or is it time for another amazing question or topic? Come on. I'm just going to have to start having that music on a little reel. Do, 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 do.
I was looking into my notes. I heard this really great story. So you had shared something earlier about you don't know where that we were talking about you don't know where that person is and that kind of impact that you might have. And I think it was along the lines of say yes to things, or it was earlier in the episode of Triple Two, and it made me think of the story that I heard. And this is the very abridged version. I will happily share the reel with anybody, but it was such a beautiful story. There was this person, and she happened to had been adopted, and she had gone through multiple foster homes. And over time, as she got older, she went through one foster home and had such a pivotal life experience with the family that she was staying with. And she had these incredibly happy memories, and she remembered thinking, oh my gosh, this is what I want. This is what I want for myself. This is what I want to create in the world. I want to have a family. And she ended up then applying herself in school and turning her grades around, and going on to graduate high school, go to college, get a degree, and she ended up reconnecting with the foster family that she had been with. And as she was sharing her memories of, remember we did this, and do you remember we did that, and this was so great, and this was so great. And she was talking with the foster family, and as they were all having dinner together, the mom had said to the now young woman, she goes, do you remember how long you were here? And she goes, oh, I was here. I don't know how long, but I was here for a very long time. And it was such a great experience. Thank you so much. And she goes, you were here 3 days. You were here 3 days before you ran away. So you never know what kind of impact you have in a conversation with somebody, in spending time with somebody, in sharing your story or sharing your information on a reel or something that resonated with you. You know, there are things that I will share online, and comments not necessarily come back, or likes not necessarily come back, but I get more private messages of, thank you for saying that. That resonated with me. Or, wow, I really like that. Or somebody will take a screenshot and I'll see it pop up somewhere else. You never know what kind of impact you leave on this world or on somebody's life. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, especially I think it was along the lines of, you never know all the people you have yet to meet, all the people that are going to love you in your life. So it's just a really lovely story of, wow, things can shift so quickly, and what can seem like such a general conversation to you or such a part of your routine can be truly impactful to somebody else.
Yes. Anybody got anything they want to add or share to that? Holly.
I feel like I'm talking nonstop again, but
Good.
oh
We
gosh,
love
I
when
love
you
that.
talk.
You know, it really is true. One of the thoughts that came into my mind too is that's a perfect example of how time is an illusion as well, which is something that comes up a lot. But I was just thinking about, you know, I actually had an experience when I was in junior high school of, I just remember I completely forgotten about this for a little bit, but a girl decided to sit next to me on the bus, and that one conversation like changed the whole course of my life. And I mean, that was even shorter than 3 days. So yeah, this truth, you never know. Like there have been cases where I don't even know the name of the person. Like I ran into somebody and, you know, out in public and I don't even know who they are, but they changed my life by their example or because they gave me a smile at a very key moment or, oh gosh, that's so funny. Sorry, my squirrel. Bread of shame was the thing I was trying to think of in my last comments. Totally unrelated. Gotta love those squirrels. But no, that is very true to remember that it's not just you have no idea whose life you're impacting, but also the idea you may never know, well, at least in this lifetime, whose life you impact because they may not even know who you are. It may just be somebody that saw something you did out in public and you didn't even notice that they were there.
I am so glad both of you shared that. There's something that I want to add to that. I have been blessed so many times over with mentors and people who have poured into me because I was at the right place at the right time with an open mind. And I've been lucky enough to be able to reach out to some of them and thank them and let them know what part of what they did impacted me, how much it impacted me. And I've also had a few people that have reached out to me and let me know that some little thing that I did changed the trajectory of their life. And hearing that from somebody, oh, Yeah. Means a lot. So if you got a chance to contact somebody like a teacher or something, or a neighbor or whatever that had the ability or did something that changed you like that, reach out and tell them. One of my great teachers who I only had for one quarter recently passed away, and she was awesome. Madam Riggs from Alexandria. So shout out. Yep. Great topic. Holly.
Should let others talk, but I just had a thought. What you were talking that also popped into my head too is there's the things that people do that are good, but also some of the things that led to the best things in my life were actually things of people doing bad things sometimes too. And so just that importance of you may frame it as bad in the moment, but knowing this could be the thing that leads to the best thing in your life in the next chapter is always a good thing to remember as well, that any interaction has the potential to put us on a good path, even if that person doesn't like us or whatever the case may be.
Yep. Okay, 18 minis left. Lenora.
I wanted to add something, kind of goes hand in hand with what Holly was saying. And I love when you talk, Holly, so please never stop. When it comes to networking, and I've heard this enough times and I've experienced it enough times for it to be true. When people are in a different position, as in, I had a call with a woman today who was absolutely lovely to speak with, and she's doing very well and she's very inspiring, and I'm a part of one of her masterminds, and I have yet to actually get to a live one. And I just reached out to her and I said, I don't know you. I keep seeing you pop up on my feed and I'm a part of the group, but I'd love to really get to know you and have a conversation with you. Are you free? And she and I were able to set up a meeting and asking them questions, asking people who, the woman is 40 plus years to me, asking them questions and saying, what do you suggest? What are your insights? I used to think of it as, and this goes back to shifting your perspective and playing with your language. The version of me that I was 5, 10 years ago could have never had the conversation, but also would have never asked for their thoughts, because to me at the time, it meant I was doing something wrong. To me at the time, it meant that I wasn't good enough. To me at the time, it meant so many negative things. And that's exactly why I could not have had that conversation, because I would have never asked about it. And my thought process would have been very specifically, I'm not good enough. They don't want to talk to me. I'll be stupid, da 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 da. And because of groups like Triple T and all the things that we do, I've had a shift in my mindset. And to the point that I will say, what do you suggest? What are your insights? But also to say enough that I have enough certainty, I have enough grounding, I have enough confidence in what I'm doing now that I'm curious. I know what I do is good. How can I make it better? What else can they share? What are their thoughts about it? Especially because they're not looking at it going, there's something wrong with that. They're looking at it and going, wow, that's really cool. Here's something else I've heard along the way. And they're sharing these beautiful bits of information and golden nuggets and phenomenal squirrels of all sorts. And when you network, especially when you have somebody that you kind of get a feel for it, you're like, oh, we dabble in the same similar pools, and we can hang out in similar groups. They really bring new and exciting levels, to the point that I was kind of in a funk for kind of just being in my own space and having this conversation with her. I completely lit up like a Christmas tree. I was vibrating all over the place after I hung up the phone with her or hung up the Zoom call. And those conversations really make a huge difference because not only do I get to teach other people about what I do, I also get to learn and to grow. And I get a completely different energy lift from it. But also now, when I network, when I think of other things, I'm like, oh, do you know this person? Oh, this person is probably going to be a really good contact. And it's so different. But you could have looked at it prospectively from the same thing and go, oh, they're talking. Oh, they're talking. And what it would have meant to me so long ago is means something completely different to me now. So I highly recommend it. Hello, gorgeous Fran. Good morning.
Great stuff. I'm so glad you showed up, Fran. I had a story pop in my head the other night. Bing! That I wanted to share about the recognizing opportunities and learning to ask. Gosh, how long's it been now since we did the training in Sydney? 5 years. Wow. Seems like yesterday. And the story I wanted to share was anybody who's been around Planet David long enough knows that when David wants to do a training, there has to be sufficient amounts of chocolate available. And apparently, 6 years. Wow. And when we got there, Phil had been trying to find some chocolate and had only found a few deals of Kit Kats. But he knew of a wholesale candy place about 15-20 minute drive from where the hotel was. And so off we went, and I don't remember who, there were four of us. And we get there and they're like, go ahead, look. And they've got shelves of all these different candies and everything that they'll sell to people. And I found the Kit Kats, and they had one nice little box, about a half a day's worth. And I'm like, oh, okay. What other chocolate do you have? And the guy that was working there was like, you need more than that? Yeah. So I start looking around and I went, oh, Easter candy. How if we took all of this right here, what kind of a deal might you be willing to give us so you don't have to store it for another how many years or months? You're like, I don't know, half price? Sold. I'll take all of that. Oh, Christmas candy, Christmas chocolate. We'll take all that. Oh, look, more Christmas candies. We'll take all that too. The guy's like, for real? We cleaned almost all of the chocolates out of that wholesale place, loaded up the trunk, and I wanted to see if you remembered when we started laying out the candies. We had Christmas trees, we had Easter eggs, we had Kit Kats, we had dinner mints. I just wanted to share that with you, and I wish Phil was here to hear that too, because we were laughing the whole way back and showing David. He's like, Did you get chocolate? Yep, we did. What's with the grins? We got all the chocolate we could find. It's holidays. So, did you remember seeing any of that?
Well, because I'm extremely allergic to chocolate, I didn't even notice that. I'm so
Didn't pay
sorry.
attention to it, right? Of course. Oh, I love irony like that. Yes. I remember some of the other ones going, are these Easter candies? Yes, it's chocolate. Is that Christmas candy? Yes, it's chocolate. Enjoy. You're welcome. Overcome, adapt, and improvise.
Well, now that we're sufficiently hungry,
Yeah, we were delving into that earlier. Anybody got any questions, topics for the last 9 minutes?
Well, I think I've got maybe something on listening that I apparently didn't listen to my best ability and got carried away with my Pollyanna persona of thinking, oh, somebody said this and some and that, and I've joined the dots. And instead of coming up with 3, I came up with 48. And sometimes I don't listen well enough. And has anybody got more tuning into people notice when my enthusiasm overcomes what they're actually saying?
Who's got an answer for lovely friend?
I was going to ask for a little more information.
Okay, well, when I can usually get people talking about what they're excited about, but they may be excited in that moment, but when it comes to following through on doing what they say they'd like to do,
Yeah.
sometimes I think, oh yes, they're ready to do this, but in actual fact, they're a few steps behind that decision. It's the theory is nice, but putting it into practice, and I think when they say, yes, I'd like to do that, I think that they'd be more ready to do that. And I think my understanding that people sometimes need to take more time than I think is appropriate. If you understand what I mean, have I explained it enough? Oh, Holly's got it.
Oh, I think Lenora was going first, but oh, okay. So really good questions, first of all. I will say, first of all, whenever you're going into a situation like that, you have to recognize there are a certain percentage of people who get enthusiastic but have no follow through. So you have to go with the expectations of a certain percentage of this is not going to work out, and I'm going to be okay with that because I'm playing the odds. So if I assume that, I have an 80% close rate or I have a 50% close rate, whatever it is. So that being said, there are ways to increase that close rate. I highly recommend, if you haven't read it, Chris Voss stuff, definitely dive into that. One of the things he says is give them a chance to say no first. So, because especially when we're getting excited to do something, if we don't get a chance to say no at any point, we start rebelling against it. So we need that chance to get that no out of our system. Obviously, going into echo technique, drilling down on their criteria and values can help. But another one is something I like to do if I think something's important and I want to follow up and I think it's going to be hard. Because the longer that when I said yes and when I actually have to, this is kind of like New Year's resolutions, like I meant it when I said it, but then this period of time happens in between. And instead of being connected to my why, I'm connected to my what, and it's this hurdle to get over. And so what I'll often say is, oh, that's wonderful. Would it be okay if I sent you a reminder text the day before it happens or something like that? Because now I'm getting into specifics of how I'm going to remind them, and, maybe even say, would it be okay if I sent you a text, and then if I can get their why and write it down or whatever it may be through criterion values, echo technique, that sort of thing, I can also tap into their why again. So like, for instance, say they want to do this because they want the community to be safe for their kids. And you get their kid's name or whatever. And you could just say, I'm so grateful that you do such great work in the community to make sure that Jebediah is going to have a safe community to live in. We look forward to having your help at this, event on this date. Now I'm reconnecting them back to their why instead of just the what, if that makes sense. Another thing that could be helpful is you could just say, I know this is going to sound kind of silly, but we would love to have you there. But I know I'm so bad at remembering things. Would it be okay if we put it in your calendar on your phone right now? And then that way they're not accidentally planning something that competes with it. And maybe that's the reason they're not showing up, is just because they forgot about it. And now they've got this other really important engagement and they're too embarrassed to say they forgot about it. So they just don't show up. Also recognizing that if, they're taking their mom to the ER or something, obviously that's going to trump it no matter what. But so just a few things. But yeah, I would definitely go through all of, Chris Voss's negotiation techniques, whatever you want to call them, as well. Look for the black swans, that sort of thing.
That's great comments. I think I get kind of tripped up when they say, yes, I want to. Can I send you a reminder? And then you send them a reminder and then they don't want to. So it's the mind changing that they're not prepared to go through. And perhaps it's my disappointment that I think I can see this wonderful way forward for them. But when it actually comes to it, when the rubber hits the road, they really just want to
Fran,
ease out. Yes, Elijah.
morning.
Morning.
You're not going to like my answer.
Well, give it to me anyway.
You need to bring them face to face with their pain.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. At the maximum point of pain, they will do anything to make it stop. And they will take action in that moment. You won't have to schedule it. You won't have to remind them. They'll take the first step then and there. And once they've taken the first step and calmed down a little bit because the first step's already been taken, then you can ask them, well, what did you learn from that? It wasn't so bad, was it? And integrate that learning so that next time they can take the same step again without having to go so close to the pain again. And each time they'll be able to do a little step without having to go as close to where it hurt that much, because they just won't want to go back there. Right? And it's not nice, and I know you don't like doing it. Right? But if they really want to change, right, then why do they want to change? What is it that makes them want to change? And if they're able to somehow protect themselves by remaining disassociated to that thing that makes them want to change, then they're never going to change because they're not going to have the stimulation to want to do so. I've been having some lower back pain. Right? And I struggled for a few weeks. And then I got a little bit better. And now I'm going to physio like once a week. I go physio. I went today. And he puts this little electrical pad thing on my lower back. And he presses it and it puts little mild electric shocks that stimulate the muscle. But really what it does is makes it worse. And it makes it worse so that it can get better. He said to me, your body is naturally compensating and adjusting, and you're having pain now on your left side because you're compensating for the pain on your right side. And it's doing the best it can do to function without having to go there. And what I'm doing, even though I know it hurts you, is I'm bringing it to the surface so it can heal. right? And you can avoid as much as you like, and people love to avoid. And that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with avoiding. But that's the path you're choosing now for the future you're going to manifest soon. So make your choice. And if the choice is too hard to make because you don't, you can just bring them a little bit closer to it, until, okay, no, and they're going to want to go away the other way. And you won't have to convince them. They'll show you what they need to do. And you just have to be there to say, oh, that wasn't so bad. We did it. Well done. Good job. And suddenly they're getting praise for having been there and gone there. And that's encouraging to allow them to do it again and again and again. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
It's a bit tough love. Not everybody likes it. It works every time because pain is a massive motivator. Yeah? Thank you.
Great answer. And that's also why I charge by the minute, not by the session. And I let all my clients know if we have an appointment scheduled and I'm running late, it's not because I'm watching funny cat videos on YouTube. I am working with somebody and I will stay in the process until I can get them through the process and back to the safe place. And there have been a couple of sessions I've been in with them for 3-4 hours straight. Because when you find the demon, you wrangle it till you got it under control. And I've had a couple of them that, okay, I'm good. I'm like, no. Get in there and make sure you've got it cleared up. It's what we do. It's why we do what we do. And yeah, trifecta and echo talk and values and criteria, all of that stuff is a good way to find out why they want to go through what you're going to have to take them through. And unfortunately, like usual, we get in a good run and we run out of time. And here we are at the end of our time. And so it's time for me once again to thank you guys so very much for showing up and offering up your precious commodity of time for this platform. And I don't have the vocabulary to tell you how much I love and appreciate all of you. Thank you for being part of my tribe. Thank you for being my friends. Thank you for being my mentors, for all that you guys teach me and all the stuff that we get to do here to help others. So those of you that are watching on YouTube, love you, Mom. And if you're watching the recording or whatever, please share this with people. And not for my glory, but somebody out there needs to hear something from this. And do all the YouTube stuff. Click the like, please. Leave some comments, please. Come back here in 7 days, please. And I will see you guys then. Love you all. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.